What's going on, YouTube? I was thinking, I just had another idea of something I want to talk about, and I think this would be especially applicable to younger kids, maybe anyone studying math right now. But the earlier you understand this concept in your life, the better. You'll see why in a second. So what I wanted to get into is, so I've been a math tutor, by the way, in like my free time for a really long time, for maybe around 7 years now. And I think I've understood like the main pattern that I've noticed among kids that are good at math and kids that are bad at math, or just people that are bad at and good at math in general. And I'm going to lay that out. And if you are in that class of people that I'm categorizing that are bad at math, and this applies to you, I think I have the solution for you. You're not going to like it, but I think I have one. So, let me start by saying this. Math is not like other subjects, right? Math is not like English class. It's not like English because the order that you learn math in matters. Like, I can go to an English class, right? And I can just skip ninth and 10th grade English and go straight into 11th grade English and understand it perfectly. Like, I don't have to read Hamlet to understand Of Mice and Men, and I don't need to read Of Mice and Men to understand The Great Gatsby. Right? It's like, oh no, I didn't read Catcher in the Rye. However, will I understand Romeo and Juliet? You know? So that, subjects like that, the order doesn't matter. Math and some aspects of science, on the other hand, are different, but especially math. You can't learn math out of order. You can't, like, if the same way I could skip ninth and 10th grade English and just go straight to 11th and understand it all, I can't skip algebra and just go straight to calculus. Like, you can't do calculus if you don't know algebra. That makes no sense at all. So the reason for that is because math is cumulative, right? Math is, you have to build off prior concepts. You start with arithmetic, then you go to algebra on top of that. You understand algebra by understanding what arithmetic is. If you don't know how to add, subtract, multiply, and divide, there is no chance of learning algebra. And if you don't understand how to solve for x, you're not going to understand algebra 2. If you don't understand algebra 2 and how functions work and what slope is, you're not going to understand calculus. You're not going to understand what an integral is if you didn't learn geometry first. Right? So you have to go in order. It's sort of like building a house, right? When you build a house, the first thing you do is you start with the foundation layer, right? You dig a big hole and you say, this is where my house is going. You fill that hole with concrete and you call that your foundation. Then you build on top of the foundation. Had you started building just simply in the dirt, sure, it might be faster, but those pillars are just going to sink into the dirt. It's not going to last. So you start with the foundation. Then you make the structure. Then you create the first floor. Only after you finish the first floor do you start building the second. And only after you finish the second can you then stack on top a third. You can't build the third floor if you have no second floor. You can maybe build a third floor if you have half a second floor, but I don't recommend that because the third floor will collapse. Similarly with math. If you are lacking in an earlier topic, everything you learn after that will make zero sense. And this is what I found with kids that are bad at math. They start off totally understanding everything. Like, everyone is kind of like clear the first couple years, and then they miss a topic. And instead of going back and learning it properly, they just keep going. And because they miss that piece, everything after that just crumbles. And they just keep trying to build faster and faster, but the thing keeps crumbling faster and faster, and they reach a plateau where they can't learn math anymore. And it becomes like you're doing 10 times the work of someone else just trying to keep up. and it feels exhausting, and you're like, well, how does everyone learn this after one glance? And I'm still like missing out on stuff from 10 years. That's why, actually, right? The reason why that actually happens so much in our current education system, by the way, is because kids do something where they study for the test instead of studying to understand it. So they say, I have a test tomorrow. I can either A, really go in depth, understand this topic perfectly, or I can memorize a list of steps that gets me the answer, and that'll make me pass tomorrow's test. And you know what? If your grade is on the line, that's what you should do, right? You got to just pass the test with the minimal amount of effort. But then you forget everything, and then you have the next test. And then you got to learn a whole new set of information and the set from before. Okay, and then there's the next test. And you have to learn 3 units all at once. Then 4, and it gets harder and harder as you progress through your math career. It actually shouldn't feel that way. Math should progressively get easier and easier for you. If you did it right, if you understood the foundations, then, only then, did you start learning the next topic. If you skipped understanding something, and then you went to the next topic, it won't make any sense at all. And that's what I found with the majority of people who struggle with math. So my advice is, if that you feel like, hey, you just described me perfectly, and you need to do well in math, here's what I'm going to tell you to do, and you're not going to like this. You need to figure out exactly at what point in your life you started struggling with math, and relearn all those topics in order. And for some of you, you guys are like in college and you've never been good at math, and that point that you stopped being good at math was like 5th grade. What that actually means is, if you want to be good at math, you got to go back to your 5th grade math, learn that, then go 6th, 7th, 8th, 9th, 10th, 11th, 12th, then you could do your college stuff. That's why the earlier you understand this, the better. The earlier you understand that you have to understand things and derive them for yourself and build off prior concepts, the better. Sure, studying for the test is fast and it's easy and it'll get you that A, but then it won't get you that A a year from now. It's like a short-term strategy versus a long-term strategy. So if that applies to you, that would be how you fix that. Hopefully that is helpful to at least somebody. All right, peace out, guys.